Hey everyone, so today I'm here to talk about what it takes to look like a movie star and what these guys really take behind the scenes. Hopefully no one here has the illusion that these guys are completely natural and it's just chicken and rice and broccoli what they are telling you on the movie scenes. First, let's analyze what kind of physique they have. In general, they are not super muscular. Like, yes, they have a lot of muscle compared to the average person, but they are not bodybuilders. They are maybe around 180, 210 pounds, depending on the height, and they have a very low body fat level. Very low body fat, very low water retention. They are vascular, they are very well defined, muscles are round, and that's the key, to have a low body fat with not much water retention. So you can't really do things like bodybuilders do, for example, on the bulking phase. First, I want to tell you that these things, what I'm talking about, will not work without proper nutrition and the proper training plan. So you need to have the basics in place, because these dosages that I will give you are not high dosages. So you can't really avoid doing the work and you can't really avoid doing the diet properly, because that's just required when you are on this low level of androgens. So let's dive into the reality of what guys like Zac Efron on Baywatch were needed to take to look like that. Usually every kind of PED stack is starting with testosterone. So what you need to know about testosterone is if you take a lot, then a lot of testosterone will convert into estradiol. And what estradiol does, it will make you hold water, make you look puffier, make you look more bulky, and yes, it will promote muscle gain also, but if you want to look like these guys, then you can't really have a lot of water retention and body fat. So usually they run the testosterone around the TRT dosage to not have a super high level of estradiol. And I would say the testosterone dosage required to this physique is not higher than, let's say, 150 to 200 milligrams per week. So it's really just a high TRT dosage. You don't need more, because then you will run into high estrogen issues, and then you need to bring it down to a desired level if you want to look lean and defined. Also, I would say that you need to measure the estradiol level on blood work. In my opinion, the best range for this level of physique is around 10 to 20 picograms per milliliter. So you would need to shoot for this level of estradiol. It will not make you feel the best. Maybe you will have a bit suppressed libido. But if you want to look really chiseled and really great on a photo shoot or on a movie day like these guys are doing, like, what you need to understand is these guys don't look like this year round. So they are getting prepared for a movie role for a certain day, and that's about it. So if you want to look good for a certain date, for a photo shoot, for a competition, you need to bring the estradiol down, at least at the last couple of weeks. So between 10 or 20 picograms per milliliter is where I would keep it at. They usually also run a secondary anabolic steroid. There are a lot of anabolic steroids, all of them are doing different things, and I would say about this physique you don't have a lot of choices. So basically you have masteron, which is drostanolone in other words, and primobolan. So estrogen control will vary based on what you choose, because they both work differently. Primobolan works like an aromatase inhibitor, so it will suppress estradiol levels. You need to find your perfect testosterone to primobolan and estradiol ratio if you want to use primobolan. If you want to use masteron, then you can do that, and it shouldn't really drop the estradiol levels, but in some people it seems like it has that effect. Make sure that you measure your estradiol level on blood work and you act accordingly. So let's say you are running testosterone and masteron and your estradiol is still too high. What these guys are doing in that case, they are usually using an aromatase inhibitor, which can be aromacin, anastrozole, letrozole. They are usually using these kinds of compounds to bring the estradiol level down. So what an aromatase inhibitor does is basically reducing the conversion from testosterone into estradiol. So if your testosterone is a bit high, then you need to take an aromatase inhibitor to bring it down to that range that I was talking about, to look like Zac Efron in Baywatch. As I said, dieting plays a huge factor to achieve this level of physique because they have very low body fat levels. There are a couple of compounds which will help you to get very lean, and they are usually using these compounds. So the first most common compound that they use for fat loss is clenbuterol. So there are a lot of different peptides exist today which are claiming to be very helpful with fat loss, but to be honest, there is no better fat loss compound even today than clenbuterol. The honest truth is that yes, these peptides exist and many people are trying them today, but the vast majority of the fitness people, fitness influencers are still on clen. Another factor when it comes to dieting down. So if you are starting to cut down and you are going on a really aggressive, really strict diet, it can happen that your thyroid function is getting suppressed. So what they take, they are usually also on thyroid medications. What they are doing is they taking an amount that keeps them at the natural high end of the range. So they take a combination of T4 and T3 and they try to keep the active T4 and T3 levels around the high end of the range. So you really don't want to take more than that, because too much thyroid can lead to bone mineral density loss, muscle loss, elevated heart rate, and all kinds of problems. Another thing that can help with fat loss is growth hormone. So growth hormone will give you a bit of water retention, but I think most of these guys are on some level of growth hormone, even if not on a lot, but 2-3 units for sure. And what they are doing is they are taking the growth hormone out, let's say 10 days out from the photo shoot. It will still help with fat loss, help with muscle building, recovery, but holds a little bit of water. So they are using it until 10 days before the photo shoot or the movie, and then they stop using it. What they are usually using also when they are getting very lean and the diet is very restrictive is an oral steroid, which can be two things. It's usually either Emal or Winstrol. So Winstrol, I think it's better for this purpose because it will give you a more round, more shredded, more defined look than Emal, but they are using Emal also. So what you need to know is that Winstrol is more liver toxic, it comes with more side effects in general, but they don't really use it for a long time. So even just 2 weeks before the photo shoot will give a massive difference. And I think that you don't need to take a high dosage from this also, like let's say 10 to 20 to 30 milligrams a day maximum at the last 2 weeks before the photo shoot peaking or before the exact date when you want to look your best. And yes, today we are hearing about peptides, about Reta, semaglutide, and many of these fat loss peptides, recovery peptides, growth hormone releasing peptides, but the honest truth is that those are not really required. Like, in my opinion, growth hormone releasing peptides are good for old people, good for sleep, good for recovery, but they have such a low level of effect on the growth hormone production that it's not the best choice for physique enhancement. And also these guys are not using it. Like, none of the bodybuilders almost are relying on growth hormone releasing peptides to build their physiques. And retatrutide, semaglutide and things like those, yes, they work, yes, they will help, but they are not required. If you are able to stick to your diet and you are able to suffer a little bit, then you can do it absolutely without those things. So these are the most important factors to get a physique like Zac Efron in Baywatch: diet, fat loss, proper workout, proper recovery, and this PED list as I listed. So if you want to know more about what's going on behind the scenes, then reach out to me.